you guys, I want to get into literary fiction. I'm definitely not a literary fiction girl, but I would love to be. I don't typically read a lot of books in that genre, but the few books that I have read that are lit fic, I've absolutely loved. I'm talking some of my highest rated books. I think a couple of my 5-star reads this year were literary fiction, so it's definitely a genre that I want to continue reading. I do think literary fiction books are a hit or miss for me because it is more focused on the writing and the characters and the prose and the themes of the book rather than a plot necessarily. And I'm definitely a plot person, but I'm definitely trying to expand my palette, and I do think there are literary fiction books that have all of that plus a really good plot. I just need to find those. So if you have any recommendations, definitely let me know. Today, I thought I would just go over all of the literary books that I have currently and that are on my physical TBR. There is honestly so many more that I've seen and I want to read, but I don't own them yet, so I think this will be a good place to start. I have this entire stack here, and I'm honestly guessing that some of these are literary fiction. I looked on Barnes & Noble and they have sectioned it with the other literary fiction novels, so I'm just hoping that these are in fact literary fiction. I know a lot of them are, but some I was surprised to see categorized as literary fiction, so I might be wrong on some of these. I'm not quite sure. Up first, I have Homesick for Another World by Ottessa Moshfegh. I have loved the other books that I've read by this author, so I'm hoping this one will be the same. I know that this is a collection of short stories, and if there was one author that I'd want to read short stories by, it would probably be Ottessa Moshfegh, just because all of her ideas are absolutely insane. So this is definitely one that I want to read sometime soon. Another one I have here is The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. This was actually a book of the month book, and I have heard mixed things about it. I think that's why I haven't read it yet. It says when Lauren returns home to her flat in London late one night, she's greeted at the door by her husband, Michael. The only problem is she's not married. She's never seen this man before in her life, but according to her friends, her much improved decor, and the photos on her phone, they've been together for years. Michael goes to the attic to change a light bulb and abruptly disappears. In his place, a new man emerges and a new, slightly altered life reforms around her. I just think this would be such an interesting read. I think people just say it's pretty slow and could get boring, so I think I'm just gonna have to see for myself. Oh, one that I've recently found is The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd, and I know this one's kind of like an iconic book. I know that there was a movie adaptation and I've never seen it. It says The Secret Life of Bees tells the story of Lily Owens, whose life has been shaped around the blurred memory of the afternoon her mother was killed. This is a remarkable novel about divine female power, a story that women will share and pass on to their daughters for years to come. That sounds so good. I don't think I want to know any more than that, but I do want to watch the movie adaptation after I end up reading it. I didn't even know this was a literary fiction. Another popular one I have is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone. I remember seeing this book a couple years ago. I've had this book for a couple years, but I remember trying to read it and it just not being the vibe at the time, but I don't think I had read any literary fiction when I tried to read this, so I definitely want to try again. It says this is an epic love story spanning time and space. I feel like this could be romantic. I like the idea of two people corresponding that are existing at different times, so I think it could be interesting. I'm gonna have to try again. Another one I have is Ripe by Sarah Rose Etter. I think this is like a psychological something, but I'm pretty sure it's literary fiction. It says, though isolated, Cassie is never alone. From her earliest memory, a miniature black hole has been her constant companion. It feeds on her depression and anxiety, growing or shrinking in relation to her distress. Ripe portrays one millennial woman's journey through our late capitalist hellscape and offers a brilliantly incisive look at the absurdities of modern life. I've heard good things about it. I like the idea that there's this black hole following her, consuming her feelings and things like that. This one sounds really interesting. Ooh, another one I've had for a while is Pew by Catherine Lacey. This one sounds really good as well. I believe they're in a small town. It says a church congregation arrives at a service and finds a figure asleep on a pew. This person is genderless and racially ambiguous and refuses to speak. Pew is shuttled from one household to the next. Slowly, the void around Pew's presence begins to unnerve the community. Yet by the time Pew's story reaches a shattering and unsettling climax, the secret of who they really are, a devil or an angel or something else entirely, is dwarfed by an even larger truth. Like, oh, that sounds good. I like that there's like a little bit of a mystery to it. This one just sounds really intriguing, honestly. There's actually a bunch of classics I've had on my physical TBR for a while, and I didn't know that they were considered literary fiction. I mean, it makes sense, but I kind of feel like that works out perfectly because I have a mix of like classic older books with the newer type of literary fiction. So correct me if I'm wrong, but Barnes & Noble had all of these under literary fiction. These are just all the classics we read in high school that I definitely need to reread now. So I have The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I mean, a classic. I don't remember reading this if I ever did, so it's definitely one I want to go back into. I have, of course, To Kill a Mockingbird Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I remember watching this movie adaptation. I don't remember reading the book. Also, Of Mice and Men. I do not remember this book being this short. It's only 105 pages, and I remember stressing having to read this in school and knowing I wasn't going to get it done. That's like not even 2 hours of reading. So The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I had tried to start this, I think maybe last year, but I only had the audiobook. So now that I have the physical copy and I can like read along, I think I can get through it a lot easier. I also have The Stranger by Albert Camus. The only reason I bought this book is a different book that I read a couple summers ago kept quoting this book. And that's honestly the only thing they could talk about, which is why I got interested in it. I feel like this one would be a really tough read for me though. I don't know why it's giving that. The last classic I have in this little stack is Mark Twain's Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. This one, I feel like I kind of remember. I annotated this. This is my handwriting. I must have been required to annotate it in school, but okay, this would be really fun to now go back through and read. I probably didn't even know what was happening when I read it the first time. So that was it for like the classics I had. I also have Dolly Alderton's Good Material. This one I'm hyped for because I've loved all the other Dolly Alderton books that I've read. It's an account of romantic disaster and friendship. Dolly Alderton offers up a love story with 2 endings, demonstrating once again why she's one of the most exciting writers today. I mean, I'm ready. I don't want to know anything about it going into it, but if it's by her, I have a feeling I'll really enjoy it. I have Severance by Ling Ma. The only reason I haven't read this yet is because it's about like a pandemic and it feels a little too soon for that. But one of the reviews on the back says this is the best work of fiction they've read so far about the millennial condition, the alienation and cruelty that comes with being a functional person under the advanced global capitalism, and the compromised pleasures and personal meaning to be found in claiming some stability in a terrible world. This is great. See, literary fiction's on a whole nother level. Like, that's an insane review. I wouldn't have ever been able to come up with something like that. But hopefully reading literary fiction expands my vocabulary and I become a little more studious. And lastly, I have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I didn't even know this was literary fiction. Why did I think this was like a psychological thriller? And I mean, maybe it is both, but that could be why when I started reading it, I couldn't get into it. I didn't even realize it was a literary fiction. That just happened with a book we read, The God of the Woods. I went into that thinking it was a mystery thriller and it was literary fiction. I loved that book. But maybe me now knowing this is literary fiction plus other genres, I can have a different mindset going into it. You guys know I need to read this already. I keep talking about it. I keep putting it off. This is gonna be one that I'm reading this year. That's about it though. That's all the physical books I have on my literary fiction TBR, but I honestly have so many that I've been saving. Every time I go to Barnes & Noble, they have a little section of literary fiction books and I want every single one of them. They're just so pricey. And I've got all these to get through before I can buy some more. Overall, I'm just really excited. This shelf back here has like a bunch of the literary fictions I've read already and I've loved them. And this is like my favorite looking shelves amongst all of my other bookshelves. I don't know why. I think because they're all like different heights and different colors and different shapes. Something about this one is just aesthetically pleasing. But that's everything that I have for today. Please, please, please give me literary fiction recommendations in the comments. If you have creators or booktubers or book talkers that you watch that recommend literary fiction, please let me know. I'd love to follow them because I need some good recs. Hopefully, eventually, I can give you guys some literary fiction recommendations, but I don't feel like I've read enough yet to give recommendations. This is just a genre I'm really excited to get into, so I wanted to make a quick video. That's pretty much it for today though. Reminder as always to subscribe to my shared channel, Loranda Reads. We also have a book club that you could join for free. I'll leave that link in the description. I'm hoping to make another video for this channel very, very soon, so thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.